Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another episode of the Get to Know Her show. I am your host, Monica Graves. Today we have a wonderful show for you. I'm really, really excited to talk to our guest. Dania Thurman is joining us today. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about singing, dancing, all kinds of great community work. It's going to be a fabulous interview. I'm going to introduce her formally in just a second. But I wanted to ask you guys who's been on the Brenda Badome website, because she has some beautiful items on there. We are so lucky because she is our show sponsor and she gives us 21% off of her gorgeous clothes when we use the coupon code Get to Know Her. So make sure you're using that coupon code. Go on there and shop. I have her lovely little cardigan on. I love the detail. Look at that with the little buttons here. So beautiful. It's nice and soft. It's warm. And then I have a sleeveless underneath. Oh my gosh, didn't realize how white my skin is. I really need some sunshine. It cannot come fast enough. It is beautiful out there today, though. And really, we only have, how many days now? 18 days until spring. So it's going to come quickly. We're all going to be warm soon. We're going to be able to hang out outside together again. I'm so excited for that. So lots of good things to look forward to. But now I'm going to introduce you to our guest, beautiful Dania. Let me get my specs on while I read to you all about her. Dania is from Dashwood, Ontario. That's going to be my first question to her. Where the heck is Dashwood, Ontario? She is a client relations specialist with Mini Giants Digital Edge Print and Media Services. Dania is actively involved in the Burlington community as a leader advocating for child and youth well-being, food security, and social justice. She recently helped develop and launch a virtual speaking event for students interested in the music business and is working with Ward 2 Councillor Lisa Kearns on an anti-racism panel. Dania is currently studying nonprofit and voluntary sector management at Ryerson University. She is a graduate of the Musical Theatre Performance Program at Sheridan College. Dania continues to perform as a singer with bands and volunteers as a musical theater vocal director at Burlington Central School. This woman is amazing. She has so many facets to her, and she's a busy lady, let me tell you. So let's bring her on right now. Dania!
Hey, how are you, Monica?
Good. I'm great. It's so wonderful to have you on here.
Thank you for inviting me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, it's great. You have so many facets to you.
Oh,
like we got to explore them all.
Right. Let's do it.
You're like a beautiful jewel with all of the facets. So first of all, I always ask my guests the same question when we begin. What did little Dania want to be when she grew up? But for you, we're changing all the rules because inquiring minds need to know, where the heck is Dashwood, Ontario?
Right. Well, that's a great question. Dashwood, Ontario is about 20 minutes from Grand Bend. Do you know where Grand Bend is?
Yes.
Okay, so Grand Bend, party town, summer hangout. Both my grandmothers lived in Grand Bend, so I did half my growing up there. But yeah, Dashwood, teeny tiny little town. Went to a country school that serviced about 3-4 towns in that school. Had to take the bus every day, you know.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Dashwood is well known for its Freedsburg days.
For its what days?
Freedsburg.
What's that all about?
It's a fun little festival that they do in the summertime. Haven't been in many years, but that's their big deal, I guess you'd say.
Wow. Oh, that must have been so much fun growing up there.
Yeah, it's small. You know, it's small town, but for sure, you know everybody. You go home at night when the sun went down and it got dark. Yeah. You know, the dog ran wild.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. And so Dash, was it also in the summertime? Was it like, did you, as kids, did you guys look forward to tourists coming and there being more action and all that kind of stuff?
That was it. That was more in Grand Bend. We were a
Okay.
little further in, so we weren't right on the water. But for sure in Grand Bend, like, did it
Yeah.
get busy? And both grandmothers living there, you would have to account for the extra time it would take to get through to
Yeah.
go visit either or.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, because of the
Oh,
traffic. It was great though. It was fun. I have to say, it was fun growing up, sort of at Party Central in the summer.
yeah, I bet. As a teenager and
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, and swimming, we went to the beach all summer. We spent at the beach, which was fun. Even so, as a kid, as a teenager, whatever, that was a lot of fun. So I'm definitely someone who enjoys living near the water, and I'm a block from Spencer Smith, so I love being where I am, and I think that comes from growing up, doing a lot of my growing up in the Grand Bend area where we had beach and water.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's so magical. I love it. So tell us, little Dania growing up on the beach. Well, not on the beach, but with the grandparents, with the grandmothers,
Yeah.
all of these influences. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I don't know if you'll be surprised about this, but I wanted to be a singer.
Great.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I wanted to be a singer. That was it. Growing up, and always number one thing.
Amazing. So what was the moment where you suddenly realized like this is my thing? Was there a singer who was influencing you where you felt like I want to be just like this person or
Um, Man, there's so many. I think I learned how to sing by singing Whitney Houston songs.
okay.
Um, and but there were so many. Like, I used to watch Dolly Parton, and I used to watch, I can't even, there's so many shows that had singers on them. I used to listen to my mom's old records. So Janis Joplin and the Beatles and Elvis Presley and Mamas and the Papas. And I'd sit in my room with this record player. And now my daughter's gotten into records. So she just went out and bought her first record. So we had to go get a record player. So now we've been listening to the Beatles.
Oh, that's great. And did
Yeah.
you ever have any shyness with singing? Like or
Me?
did you all yeah. I mean, this is a important question because I think even for me, I was always attracted to music, rock stars. That was so my thing. But the idea of singing or even going to learn how to sing and sounding bad scared me,
I don't
So,
know if I ever, like, I'm a good singer, so I don't think I was ever afraid to sing in front of people. I was singing in church. I sang at
okay.
weddings. I sang for church services. I sang in the choir, in the musicals at school. So I don't think I was ever really shy in terms of singing in front of people. I remember as a teenager, I didn't like being put on the spot in terms of, oh, sing for my friends or whatever. But,
Yeah.
in terms, I did the theater shows at the Huron Country Playhouse. I did a couple shows there when I was in high school. And the St. Mary's Community Players. I did the Sound of Music, which was a dream. I always wanted to be Liesl in the set. That
Oh,
was one. I always watched the
yes.
Sound of Music every year, and I wanted
Amazing.
to grow up and be Liesl, and I did. So that was cool, and I did The King and I, and what was the other one? Oh, Gypsy at the Huron
Okay.
Country Playhouse. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's great. So you always had that confidence. You knew you were a good singer. I love that. And would you say, Dania, like for anyone who's now, whether you're a kid or an adult, like somebody who's always wanted to sing, do you believe that that is something that people can learn to do? They can train their voices? Or do you feel like you're born with a certain vibration and
You can definitely learn how to sing properly and support your singing, support your vocals, but definitely there is that born with it factor as well. Like there's a certain sound that you're born with. But I did used to tell the students in the musical, I would say, look, guys, like singing, it's a science. Like if you want to sing low, the breath comes out slower. If you're singing high, the breath comes out faster, right? And it's really just a science. They used to argue with me and say they couldn't sing high. I would hear them all say, we can't sing high, we can't sing high. But I gave them my scientific argument, and finally they did catch on.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Do you remember the first time you were on stage and how that felt in front of an audience?
Man, I don't know if I can, because I've done so many, whether even shows in even elementary school. I can remember us doing stuff. I remember, I think the one I remember the best at the youngest was singing at our graduation. We did That's What Friends Are For. And I think there were 4 or 5 of us that sang it, and that was one of my earliest memories, I think, of singing in public.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. So you and I met through Halton Food for Thought, and we started talking about music immediately, and then we became texting friends about music and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you came to one of my events, and we posed like rock stars, of course.
Yeah.
And
all true.
And then we ran into each other at the Sony Center. What was the concert?
Boy George.
Yes.
I think I got those tickets for my sister, who was a huge Boy George fan. And the first time it got canceled, I think he had some vocal troubles, and then they rescheduled it. So that was like the rescheduled date.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. So, Daniel, one of the things you shared with me was your involvement with Abba. Yeah. And I just that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, this girl's so awesome. So can you share with us the Abba story and how you got involved in this production? Because it's just so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still sing, obviously, and I sing with bands. And one of the bands that I've sang with and toured with in the last few years has been an Abba tribute band called Abba Mania. And they're based out of Burlington. And I do a lot of backup with them. I have sang the brunette part, actually. A few times. I stand in for that. I just sing part-time. I like to do a few gigs a month, and it's a lot of fun. Great musicians with it, but man, it's nice to get up on stage, and we play a lot of nice theaters, festivals, that kind of thing. You know, the old theaters like the Winter Garden Theater in Toronto.
Beautiful.
Did that a couple New Years ago, and things like that, and all over. Actually, the last gig I did right before COVID hit was, I think, a week before we went into lockdown, and we had to fly to Green Bay. I have to think about football when I remember that gig, right? Yeah. So we had to fly to Green Bay, and we took 2 planes there, 2 planes back. We had to stop in Chicago. So the weekend before everything got shut down, I was on 4 airplanes and in 3 airports. It was a little bizarre, but that was my last live gig. And it was in a really cool theater, just like I was saying, in Green Bay.
Amazing. You must miss it so much, hey, Dania?
Yeah, you know what? I do. Live music is a lot of fun. The audience is a lot of fun. It's just different. It's fun. It's different than work. Like for me, I do it I do it for that. I do it for the social thing. I do it for that buzz. I've played a few shows here in Burlington. We have done the Burlington Performing Arts Center a few times with a few different bands. That's always fun. It's always a sold out crowd, and there's usually a few people I know, which is kind of neat. But whether you know anybody or not, it's just great. You let loose and have fun. The best one I sing with is the Bee Gees. I love doing backup for the Bee Gees. That's
is that your favorite fun gig, or what's your favorite of all of them? Do you have a favorite one of all the gigs you've ever done?
Girls.
Spice Girls. And which Spice are you?
For the fun, are you gonna guess?
I'm gonna guess Posh.
No.
Ginger.
That's it. You got it. Yeah.
I was thinking Ginger, but then I'm looking at your hair and I'm imagining if it was dark, and I'm like,
wig. You know, that was in terms of fun, that was the most fun. Like absolutely the most fun. We would have like so many kids, little girls, right, in the audience, and they were so excited, and it was all the girl power thing, and it honestly felt like the Beatles. Like we did a tour of our first tour was of the East Coast, and I can remember our last show was in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and we sold out, and it was their arena. And the week before, I think it was the Tragically Hip had played there, and we sold more tickets than the Tragically Hip. We had it was insane. It was like 3,000 or 5,000 or something people there. It was crazy. And we signed autographs after that show for probably 2 or 3 hours. And the craziest thing was that a lot of these families, a lot of these little kids and their parents would come, and they actually thought we were the real Spice Girls. Like they would say things like, "We have family in England." And they were so excited, right?
That's great. And did you stay in character? Like, did you actually speak in an English accent?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for sure. Even signing autographs, we did.
Oh, fantastic. That's exciting, Dania.
Mm-hmm.
And when did that happen? Was that like in the 90s, early 2000s, or was this like more recent?
Want me to age myself?
Yeah.
It was 99.
Oh, that's fantastic. I wish I'd seen you.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And the Bee Gees would be my next most fun. And I just do backup in that, but the music is so like it's just so chill, and you just get down. The guys who sing lead in that are phenomenal. And it's just, for me right now, of all the gigs that I do, it's like the least stressful. It's like the most like down to earth, and you just dance around and sing.
Oh, that's great. So have you done anything online with performing since COVID, or? I can imagine that must be hard because there's such an exchange of energy between you and your audience. And it's really, I mean, live shows are, I could go to a live show every night. I could care less if I did anything else but that. Yeah,
me too. I actually sang from my balcony for the first 3 months, maybe every night, and then I sort of cut it back to I think three nights a week, and then like 1 night a week, and then I stopped once the summer got underway, and we could go back out and see people and everything. It sort of trickled out. But for the first couple months of COVID, I would sing from my balcony every night. I did Facebook Live, and it was a lot of fun. Like people would tune in every night. And I actually made our mayor's COVID wall of fame doing that. Yeah.
You did. Fantastic.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. So
that's so great. Well, you've got a whole slew of things coming up here in your life that you're doing. Which one? I know. I gotta
learn how to say no.
I know. I'm looking at my list here, and I'm like, this girl is. So tell us how you're going to perform at this upcoming International Women's Day event.
Okay,
That's
so
what.
this is virtual.
Okay.
So it's a virtual event, and they asked me. It's actually taking place where I grew up in Huron County.
Okay.
And I was approached by an old friend of my mom's who she used to work with. That her name's Maureen. She might even be joining us today. And she asked if I would do something like I'd done during COVID, singing from the balcony. And I was like, sure. And we kind of chatted about it. And I said, you know what? I said, the best thing is going to be if I just pre-record it, because that way you don't have, you know how it is. Like if power goes out or anything like that happens, right? All of a sudden you're offline and you can't do it. So I said, why don't I pre-record it and I'll just send them all to you. So I spent my Saturday night. I got my hair done on Saturday. So I have to shout out to my hairdresser because I love her so much, Lisa at Water's Edge. I got my hair done. She curled it all, made it absolutely gorgeous for me, gave me like an awesome light to use, to borrow, to film this. And I took a few hours and filmed it on Saturday night. Had to do a couple retakes. My cat decided to make an appearance a couple times. He likes to sing with me. So it took a while, but it's all pre-recorded, and they're just going to play it on International Women's Day. And it's an event celebrating women who've done extraordinary things during COVID, but it's also a fundraiser for their food bank, I believe, their women's shelter, and something else. And I can't remember what the other one is right now off the top of my head, but
oh, fantastic. People are going to love that.
I tried to do a lot of women. Like I did a Dolly Parton tune. I did an Adele song. I did a Bob Dylan cover that Miley Cyrus did. So I did it in a style of hers. A few things like that. I tried to kind of make that woman theme, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good for you. That's fantastic. I know it's such a gift to have people like you who can just share this talent with the world, because we need it so bad right now. Dania, are you going to get back out on your balcony, do you think? Or I might have to cruise over there.
So the other crazy thing I did
was
go back to school. So at however old I am, I think 40 something, I decided to go back to university. So I'm right now, and that was part of the reason why I stopped doing it, because it was just so much working full time and doing university on top of it. But I'm studying a financial management course for nonprofits right now. And it is just so out of my comfort zone. Like it's not my skill set. I'm a very creative, like relationship builder. I'm that person. And the whole reading financial statements and things it's not really my skill set, but I'm learning a lot. And the one thing they focus on is that it's sort of a story, and I like stories, so I'm trying to pull that out of it. But it really takes a lot of time to keep up with this class, because it's not my normal, not normally the way I think. So I think trying to get out and sing on my balcony again might be tough to find the time for right now.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot going on, but this is, I find this fascinating that you're doing something where you're using the other side of your brain. So what is it again? It's the right side is the creative side and the left side is analytical, right? Or is it the other way?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think the left brain or the creative, and
the right brain is the analytical. Okay. Because it's so funny. I don't know about this, if you're like this, but I find sometimes when I go over and use that other side of my brain, like I can spend hours on Excel. And while I'm doing this monotonous numbers or whatever it is I'm working on, it's like little sparks of ideas start flying out that I don't always get when I'm in my creative zone. It's funny how your brain kind of does that. The other week I had to come up with a story for a client, and I thought I'm just going to do something mundane so that the story comes. And I went and washed the dishes and placed a few things in order, And then it was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. And it was like in 2 minutes. Whereas if I was sitting here with the pen and paper trying to force the creativity, it doesn't work that way. So do you find that too while you're going through this course? You're kind of like, oh my God, there's all this other stuff that's coming up now because
I have to balance it for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, I have to balance it. Absolutely. It's so important. And you know what I'll find too? I'll just get to a point where I'm reading something like 6 times and I go, okay, I'm not taking it in. Time to go for a walk. And like, I will just walk by the lake and come back. And I'm usually like way more focused.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Love it. So I want to talk to you about kids and all the great stuff you're doing with kids. I want to tell you a personal story and get your take on it. Okay?
Sure.
So I already shared with you that I always wanted to be a rock star, but couldn't sing and therefore never pursued it. And you know, that stuff. Yeah. I was very shy. I was a super shy kid. So my parents enrolled me in tap dancing.
Okay.
And I did tap dancing in a church basement.
Yeah.
Loved it. Obsessed with it. Practiced, got my little tap shoes on. I was in the basement every night practicing. And then we came to the time where we were going to do the big performance. And the teacher said, what we're going to do is we're just going to have the girls lay down on the stage in bikinis and the boys will wear top hats and tap around the girls. And it was my first feminist movement, Dania. I went home. I was so angry. I was crying and crying. My parents, I mean, this is 1977, right? My parents let me quit. They never let me quit anything. They let me quit because of the sheer humiliation. And the song was going to be Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. Can you believe that? So.
Where did you grow up?
Oakville.
In Oakville?
Yeah. And it was in a church basement. I mean, a lot of activity. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's such a story that sticks with me. And it sticks with me because I was in something I loved, you know, and I mean, I never went back to it. I never went back to any kind of performing or anything because of this one experience. Now, COVID's come, you know, and the other night I'm sitting there with my husband. I'm like, I need to get tap shoes. He's like, what? I said, I'm going back. I got to get this. I got to get over this. I need to start tapping. And he's laughing at me. But, you know, you do so much work with kids and things have come such a long way. I mean, that would never happen today, right? And
oh God, I would hope not.
No. but you know, the kids who are shyer or they want to get, like, how do you help these kids and coach them in the work that you do?
You know what? I will say most of the kids that I end up working with, like say in the musical, for instance, like they have a little piece of that where that's their passion anyway. We definitely had some shyer types. And the first musical I did, there was a lot of, like I said, they were a little intimidated, to sing. They hadn't done a musical the year before that. So it had been 2 years since they'd done one. And they were a little shy about kind of reaching out of the comfort zone. So they thought they had this little box where this is where they can sing in and that's it. And everybody wanted to be an alto and everybody wanted to be a tenor and nobody wanted to do soprano because they can't hit those notes. And I remember sharing this story, and I said, when I was young, Mariah Carey came out, and she would hit those crazy notes, you know, and I was like such a stubborn singer. I was like, well, if she can do it, so can I. Right. And so I was like, there's no way that she can sing something I can't. So I taught myself to sing those crazy notes. And it's like Phantom of the Opera too. That was my favorite. I would sing Phantom of the Opera all the way to those high notes at the end. And I taught myself how to do it. And I was telling the kids that, and I'm like, this is where it goes back to the science thing. I was like, it's science. It's opening your mouth. It's letting the air come out faster. That's how you get the higher sound. And I remember they still kept arguing and they still kept arguing. And do you know the song Take On Me?
Yes, of course.
You know how they do the big high stuff?
Yeah.
So one day they're doing warm up to that song and they're all singing it and they all do the take me on up and they're hitting these high notes and they stopped and I go, y'all have been lying to me. Like I just listened to you and you
Oh.
can hit those notes and you guys are a bunch of liars. And they're like, yeah, but that's not real singing. I'm like, guys, if you can sing that, you can sing the songs in this show. And they
Oh.
did. And I remember there was one song in particular, and even the week before we opened, I remember going, oh my God, like this is just not coming together. Everything else was sort of coming together. And this was the first time I'd done the show. And then I think it was in dress rehearsal. I don't know what happened. I remember saying to them, the microphones aren't going to get your voice if you're not singing loud enough for it to pick it up. It's not a miracle. It's not a miracle. You have to actually open your mouths and sing out loud. And they came to the dress rehearsal and all of a sudden it was like, whoa. And the director and I looked at each other and we went, what just happened? And it ended up being the song in the show that everybody freaked out. Like the whole audience would freak out over. It was so good.
Oh
Like
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps. My little girl is feeling very good now that we've got people like you out there encouraging kids and
and
showing them their power.
Out, girl. That's like the best thing.
Yeah.
Totally. I've been doing dance workouts. Do you know who Amanda Klutz is?
No.
She's a dancer. Her husband was from Hamilton, and he's the one that passed away from COVID. Was a Broadway actor, and he passed away. Like he was one of the first ones to get it, I think. Anyway, she does these dance like workout things. It is like the most fun ever, and I just feel like a rock star doing these dance workouts. So yeah, get your tap shoes.
Well, I have to show you what else I have.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't put them on today yet, but I will. And I've been doing that every day. I come into the studio, I just put the skates on, and I work here in my skates because I want to get my balance, and I want to go down to Spencer Smith in the summer, and I want to be one of those people who's like doing the twist, skating backwards, going forwards. We have to.
For sure. Do it.
For sure. Andrea is watching and she's asking, can you share her info about the dance exercise? So for sure, we'll get that link from you, Dania, and we'll put it up here.
For sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. So judging the YWCA Women of Distinction Award Youth category. Wow.
Yeah. So I applied to be a judge with the YWCA Women of Distinction Awards. And I was really, I don't know if there was some magic behind the scenes going on, but getting the youth category was really amazing for me because, I work with kids all the time. So I was reading these stories and they were so incredibly inspiring. And it's actually this week. The awards ceremony is Thursday. So it's this week. So I have no idea as a judge who won or anything. I know nothing, but I'm going to go and I'm going to watch, and I'm hoping to see some of these girls, their stories, these young women making such a difference in their communities was absolutely mind blowing. Like I'm reading them, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, they're so amazing. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a great experience. And that actually got me thinking about what things can we do in Burlington that, like unique things like some of these girls were doing. And I started thinking about it, and I actually reached out to our city councilor, Lisa Kearns, and I said, hey, I've been judging this YWCA thing. I have an idea for an anti-racism talk panel virtual thing. Can we chat? And we had a chat, and she was actually already working on something. She was working with Lena Sharma Seth from Mending the Chasm, and she says, "Oh my gosh, I'm loving this idea." She said, "I think we could mesh it." But my idea was, if you bring, because we in Burlington love our arts and love our music and love our
Mm-hmm.
culture that way. And I said, if we can bring some performances in, whether that's music, whether that's poetry, then I think you may draw more people into a conversation that's much needed about that.
Yes.
Because we're virtualed out. It's not that people don't want to talk about it, but we're so tired of, as we sit here virtually,
Yeah.
we're so exhausted from doing virtual meetings all day that you really have to, I think, offer something that is beyond just sitting and talking in a panel, and I love to listen to panel things as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you really want to draw people, I just was thinking that would be a great draw, because it would really, get people motivated to come. And I think really, Burlington's what, 90% white, but I think we have good people here that really want to be allies in this conversation, and maybe they just don't know how. They don't know what the right thing to say is, right? Or they're afraid to say the wrong thing, right? And that's a huge deal too. And so I think having the conversation in a safe space where you're bringing something, like I said, like music and poetry in as well, and it's not just a talking at people. I think it provides a good platform to actually open up a discussion. And and Lisa agreed. So we have some. I'm not giving anything away. There's some really cool stuff, and we've got some really cool local talent who have offered to take part in it. And but I'm gonna let it be her baby, because she's really done it. I pulled in the artist, but but she's done it, which I think is incredibly brave of her, because as a politician, I think it's a lot of politicians play on the safe side, and I think that it's an important discussion, and I think she's one brave lady to
definitely. This is amazing. And let me know, Dania, if you and Lisa want to meet a good friend of mine, Melissa Jameson. I had her on as a guest a couple of weeks ago for Black History Month. And her parents come from Jamaica. She is so open to talk about anything. And,
cool.
the reason I asked her, well, I've known her since kindergarten, so I can't ask her anything. We're really close, but she's one of those people where it's just like, bring on the questions. It's all good. You don't have to hold back. And and it was interesting. And one of the questions I asked her was, how can we not be racist? And she was like, oh, girl, let me tell you. Like, she went through a whole list, and it was so great, because there were all these subtleties where you don't even realize that you're doing it, or and things as simple as her growing up in Oakville, like all the Barbie dolls were white, everything is geared around the white girl,
for sure.
And it was really interesting. So let me know. You guys would love her.
And I think as a white person, recognizing your privilege is that's a big step, and I think people do see it, they just don't know how to be that ally, right? So hopefully it begins a conversation, if nothing else, right?
That's great. Gosh, what else have you got on your plate?
Oh my goodness. Well, I just worked with Sound of Music. So of course we all know Sound of Music got canceled, like everything else. And they've been really trying to get into the community, and they've done all these little pop-ups everywhere, which has been a lot of fun. And they wanted to sort of do more in the community as a nonprofit. And so I was approached by an educator about speaking actually to art students about being a singer and working in the music business. And I was like, hey, you don't want to hear from me. I'm like boring. Like, let's get some real speakers. So I reached out to some of my Sound of Music friends, and we did a music event, a virtual speaker event about the music industry. And we had incredible guests come to speak. We had an entertainment lawyer, an entertainment accountant, and then we had a couple rock stars, Susie McNeil and Andrew McTaggart. And do you know Susie?
I
Because you
don't
would
know.
love her. You would love her. I need to
I know her. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Got to have her on the show.
Yeah, so she was on Rockstar in Excess. You need to have her on the show. She was one of the finalists. She was the last woman standing on Rockstar in Excess.
Okay, I'm sure I was voting for her from my couch.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
They play with Steve and Tyler, backed up the original stuff, and then they were in Vegas with Aerosmith right before COVID knocked everybody out. So it was a cool conversation. There were some great questions. It went over really well, so well that we're going to do another one about art and media. So we're going to have an art and media talk coming up, hopefully in April, and we've got some cool guests sort of lined up for that. So
fantastic.
Yeah. You have to give these students a little something to get excited about, right? Like right now they can't do their musicals, they can't do their choir, whatever it is, right? So trying to give them something that
you got to keep that energy going and keep it pumping, and not let them lose sight of their dreams and their visions and, all of the wonderful things that they're going to do with this, because we're not going to be in the pandemic forever. But I can imagine, I mean, you look at your life and 5 years go by, it's like whatever. But when you think about high school, I mean, grade 9 to grade 13, now I'm aging myself, grade 13, but you too. Grade 9 to grade 13, those years were huge. I mean, that 5 years is like 20 years now, right? And to miss out on 6 months, 1 year of any of that, like not being able to go to dances and come together and all of those, I really feel for these kids. It's got to be so hard.
As I'm the school council chair for both my kids' school, and I work with a lot of the staff. I'm on the anti-bullying and wellness team, the well-being team, and we're really trying to find things for students that are unique to this time. But it's so hard, they are missing out on so much.
Yeah, they are. Wow. So what are plans for Sound of Music? I mean, I guess, are things kind of on hold because of
I know
COVID?
nothing.
We don't really know. Oh, you know nothing. Okay.
No, I don't know. I know that I do know that they have, and I believe an International Women's Day virtual concert coming up with all female local artists, which I think is going to be super cool. So they're continuing with a couple like smaller things like that right now. But I mean, I don't even know, do we know yet what the summer's going to look like, right?
Yeah. Like, it's so day by day, isn't it? We don't really. We don't.
Yeah. So, but look for that, because that'll be a fun one. I hope to see you there.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a great one. For sure. That's so great. Dania, I loved talking to you. Is there anything we missed that you want to cover? Anything?
Yes, I'm so excited. I just joined the board of directors for Compassion Society of Halton. So I made a move from working in nonprofit into a private company, but I really wanted to stay active in with an organization that was local to me. So of course they are actually 5 minutes from my place, so they're servicing the people in my neighborhood. So that was one of the things that was really important to me, and it's a great organization. They respond to the needs of the community by providing not only food and clothing and household articles, but they provide self-care items and hygiene items, and they actually work with a lot of outside organizations to connect their families to help, like employment services or legal services, health services, things like that. So they go, it's a little more than just food security, which I did a lot of food security with Halton Food for Thought and some of the other things I've done. So they actually go a little above and beyond that. They really take care of the whole person. So I'm very excited to have just joined their board of directors, and I can't wait to really get in and help make a difference, you know?
Oh, and you will for sure. You need a cape.
We all need
You're
a cape.
You're such a Wonder Woman. And how lucky am I got to have you. You're my first guest for the month of March celebrating women.
And before International Women's Day. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is so great. What a gift. So before I let you go, we do have a couple of questions here for you. One is, can we re-listen? Yes. Actually, you guys, this will go up on YouTube after, so you can re-listen. It'll sit here on Facebook as well. And then, Andrea Dodd, happy to have you join us at CSH Dania.
Oh, thank you, Andrea.
So nice. And definitely we're going to share the dance exercise video. And, Andrea Markusic, she loves Take On Me. She loves that song.
Oh, me too.
It's so good. He was so gorgeous.
That song, and do you remember Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley?
Yeah.
They have become such anthems with these teenagers right now. It kills me. My kids know every lyric of those songs.
Oh my gosh.
Those two, and then at Christmas time, it's the Mariah Carey Wham Christmas tune. You know which one I mean.
I know exactly which one you mean.
Right out of my head now, but they know every word.
So funny. So I gotta share. This is so crazy. So I have now at Glam Jewels, I've got 2 lovely students who are working for me, and they're in their like later teens, like 17. Okay. Mm-hmm. So one of them was in the studio before COVID. And I said to her, listen, we're going to get into some music. I'm going to teach you about the 80s. And I'm telling her, the poor kid's probably like, oh my God, this poor lady is trying to, but she's listening to these songs and she's like, oh my God, that's a TikTok song. Oh my God, that's another TikTok song. I'm like, these are not TikTok songs. This is the 80s.
Yes, that's how my daughter knows half of them too, is because they're TikTok songs. But yeah, I was surprised when I started working with the students in the musical, how many and knowing all these lyrics. What is that Christmas song that Wham did?
Oh God! Last Christmas.
Yes. Last Christmas. Every word they sing.
Oh, love it. And what's the Mariah Carey one now?
She does the cover of it.
She does the cover of it. And doesn't she have her own as well? She's got her own.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I know the 80s. Mm-hmm. We were lucky. I loved the 80s.
Well, and if you think about like even in the 90s, like there were a lot, especially Canadian women, female artists that were like huge in the 90s. Like, yeah, right? Like,
totally. You know what? This is a perfect segue. So I am going to invite you now to an Instagram after party, and let's talk about female artists of the 80s who inspire 80s and 90s.
Sure.
Let's talk about that.
Sounds good.
I think it's a good topic. Dania, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you could join us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. And if you don't mind, I'm going to put you in the virtual green room if you can hang out back there, and then I'll come over to you after. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and welcome. If you haven't watched my talk show before, I see a lot of Dania's friends are on here and supporters. So thank you for coming on and listening in. And if you need a little bit of a freshening up to your spring wardrobe, you have to check out our sponsor, Brenda Badome. You can check her out at brendabadome.com. I will leave that information in the comments later on today. And remember to use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 21% off of your order for 2021. Thank you guys so much. Keep on showing the world your sparkle. And if you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And every week you will be notified about another amazing kick-ass businesswoman in this community. Talk to you soon. Bye.